Hi everyone, welcome back to your final video lesson of how to use eResLife. Sorry I didn't get this out sooner. We had some Wi-Fi issues on campus today, so this is actually my fourth try at recording this. Hopefully I won't make any mistakes and everything will work out well. So let's get started. First off, hopefully you have either filled out the off-campus application or the housing application, depending on where you're living next year. And then if you filled out the housing application, you also used roommate groups to create who you want to live with. Of course, if you are going to live with a group of people. So first thing we're going to do is if you just hop in through your Octatile back into eResLife, you're going to pop up with something similar to this. This is the training site, so it does look slightly different, but I'm going to walk you through most of the process now, just so you have a better idea of what this looks like. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Manage Housing Applications. I have both versions up, so I'm going to do a quick video of both. So right now, if you clicked in, it would have a countdown and it would say what time you are going to be able to select your room, and then instead of it saying browse rooms, it would say preview rooms, which will allow you to look at all the available rooms. Obviously, for juniors and incoming juniors and sophomores, some rooms will disappear over tomorrow, going into Thursday morning. So you can check back, but the perk of using the preview is you can set aside favorites. So we're going to dig into this real quick. I'm going to do the off-campus application real quick just so the off-campus students can understand what they need to do. So when you hop in here, you've already done the application and confirmed your application. So you're going to search for rooms. If you're off-campus, there's three options. If you have an exception because you're a freshman or sophomore living off-campus. There's off-campus student residences. That's if you are a junior or senior living off campus. And then there is if you're living in an apartment. So if you are an exception or an off-campus student resident, it's going to look super similar. Select whichever one you are, click search, and then on this right side it's going to pop up with a bunch of rooms. You're going to pick a room, you're going to choose the bed, and then after you choose the bed, you're going to confirm, and then it's going to let you select what kind of meal plan you want. And that's kind of the main focus of what we're trying to get to. You already answered a couple previous questions about where you're living, so that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to know where you were living so that the mailroom can contact you, and then we wanted you to select a meal plan. If you don't go through this process, you would just be given no meal plan. If you're an off-campus student, if you're an exception student, you would be getting a commuter meal plan, most likely, if you don't fill it out and select a different meal plan, or a higher meal plan. Sorry, most students that are living off campus for an exception are required to have a commuter meal plan, but if you have previously gotten an exception to live off campus and to not have a meal plan, that's a different story, where you might need to actually contact me to make sure that happens for next year again. But if you're living in the apartments, you're going to select your apartment building, select the floor, hit search. You're going to find the room, select it, choose this bed. It doesn't matter if you choose the first one or the second one. Again, for off-campus students or students in the apartments, pick the correct room, or if you're off-campus, don't pick a room at all. Just pick whatever is available first. And then the main thing we're trying to get is for you guys to tell us what meal plan you want. So again, these are your options. You have the first four, or you have a meal plan for off-campus living, which means you don't have a meal plan at all. If you're living in the apartments, those are your 5 choices. If you're living off-campus or with an exceptions, there is a sixth one that says you have an exception from a meal plan. That's only necessary if you are a freshman or a sophomore. So you would go in, choose my plan, say, just for sake of it, assume you're a football player, you want a full meal plan for football season so you don't have to worry about it. and then following semester you could go down to a commuter or whatever is beneficial for you. But from this point forward, your reservation's complete. That's all you have to do if you're living off campus or in the apartments next year. Now I'm going to switch over to students that are living in the residence halls. So, like I said before, it is going to, right now, show just as a preview, and then you can make your own favorites. So, for example, I already have 2 rooms set as my favorite, so like if I couldn't get this one, I'm hoping to get that one, kind of a thing. So you can set your favorites now, and then once housing selection occurs, you can actually pick where you're living. So again, it's pretty simple. You're just looking at your options of where you get to live. St. Charles, Trinity, A&Z houses, or Guad. I don't think anyone is able to actually live in Guad. This will just be used by the incoming freshmen. So if you go to St. Charles, if you pick Second Main, and say you want to double with somebody else because you already made your roommate group, click search. It's going to show you all the available double rooms on the second floor. When a room isn't available, it's going to show this crossed out circle in red. If you scroll over it, it's going to say not available. If you click on it, it'll tell you the exact reason why. In this training session, I don't have a gender for the username I'm using. So that's why it says you do not meet the gender requirements for this profile. But if you are a male student and you try living on Second Main, it's still going to pop up as red because that's a women's floor, so you wouldn't be able to live there anyways. And then for Trinity, kind of what this looks like is very similar. Pick your building, pick your floor. There are no doubles, so that's why nothing popped up. You can pick from the 3 types of rooms. There's the 2 doubles, and then there's the 4 quads, or the quad singles, sorry. And then there's also a 3rd room type. There are only 2 of them. One's on second, one's on third. They are the 22s, so 222 and 322. It's a single, and then a double. So if you have 2 friends that are like, hey, we wouldn't mind living together again, and then we'd also save a couple $100 over the year. That's kind of a beneficial room to try and get a hold of. Again, if you don't fit the criteria, then it's not going to let you. So one thing that's unique about Trinity, obviously, is it's a suite with 4 people of the same gender. So if I were to select this bed, no women would be able to select any of the other spots in this room. So as soon as one person's in it, it can only be that gender. If that makes sense. I think you're good to go from that standpoint. One other thing is if you went to St. Charles and you just tried to look at any of the rooms, but you were a group of 4, it wouldn't allow you to go into any of these rooms except for this quad. So if you aren't able to get into Trinity and you still have a group of 4 in your roommate group, you're going to have to drop that roommate group down to 2 groups of 2 in order to get into 2 doubles and then try and be right next to each other on a floor or something like that. So make sure you understand that. I think that would be really beneficial for you incoming sophomores to think about. So if you see a room that is available, it's going to look like this. It's going to have empty beds right here, and then when you slide over them, it'll be green. You're going to click on it. You're going to choose this bed. Then it's going to say, do you want to confirm that this is the assignment you want? You click Assign Me Now. One other thing that'll pop up is it'll ask you if you want to assign the roommates in your roommate group. So you can also say, yes, I want to assign them to that. They will still have to go in and approve that, but at least you will have that entire room reserved for you and your roommates. So if you did do that and you added your 2 roommates, they'd be listed in these other 2 beds. And then you would have the opportunity to keep the reservation and look at other rooms, or you cancel, or you just keep it forever. Then after you've decided that, hey, this is where I want to live, you're going to go through, select whatever meal plan you want. In the email I just sent out with this video, I attached a little blurb about the meal plans, what they entail, and then also their costs. I'm doing that for the housing plans as well, just so that you guys have a better idea of what the cost difference is. One thing to note, all the meal plans are somewhat similar to last year, but we only have 3 for on-campus students. We effectively got rid of the gold, and then we also cut back on the flex dollars because that was the feedback we had gotten from you guys, is that there were far too many flex dollars, so that's something that has also changed. So if you want, feel free to jump back into my email and make sure you read up on the changes. If you choose the meal plan, it'll now say your reservation is complete. If you go to housing overview right here, it's going to show that this is the room you selected, and then down at the bottom it's going to show that you accepted the offer. One thing to note, we do know that there's 1 or 2 of you that are looking off campus still but want to make sure you have a place to live. We are going to be putting in all of the housing selection into our system on the last day of April, so we're giving you guys about 2 weeks in case you want to change rooms. After that, you have to do everything manually via email with us to make sure that that can happen, but you should be able to edit this for the next 2 weeks. However, if you go to My Meal Plans, you can change this plan at any time up until the end of the first week of school. Kind of the last thing I wanted to touch on is, I know a decent amount of you are disappointed that we don't have Borah available for next year tentatively, but we are creating a Borah waitlist. I know this is not what it's going to look like when you actually fill it out, but anyone that has a need or a want to live in Borah next year, please fill out this form. It's like 4 questions long, and you cannot fill it out until you have selected your housing and your meal plan. So if you go to My Forms and you see it there, it's just going to say you can't do it until you are a resident. The only way you can become a resident is by selecting where you're living on campus. But that way we'll get you guys a wait list. That way if we are able to open up Borah in August, we're going to be able to do that, and we'll be able to give you all the opportunity to switch into a different room. But that's kind of what we're looking at from the housing standpoint. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and shoot me an email. I'll be checking my email all of tomorrow morning. I did bump back the housing lottery. Some of you, it looks like, had already figured out how to navigate this system, so kudos to you. But for those of you that didn't, I bumped back the start of housing selection to noon tomorrow, so please take some time tonight or in the morning to take a look at it for all you returning seniors and incoming seniors, just so that you know how to navigate it properly. The only other thing to note is that if you are a senior and it shows that you are not going to be in the housing lottery tomorrow, that just means I haven't updated it. I will go through all the names as of 7:30 tonight and make sure that those have been updated. So by 8 p.m., anyone that submitted their form by 8 p.m., they should be good to go. As long as they're an incoming senior, they'll be able to select where they're living for next semester. So again, thank you guys for your flexibility and patience. Sorry this took so long to get out. But yeah, best of luck, and let me know if you need any help. Thanks.